It is 3 a.m. You're staring blankly at the ceiling, the cold glow of your smartphone illuminating your face in the dark. You just made the mistake of checking your banking app, and now that familiar, suffocating weight has settled right in the middle of your chest. Another credit card statement, another minimum payment, another month where the math simply does not add up, no matter how hard you try. Society has probably told you a very specific lie about this exact moment. You've been conditioned to believe that being trapped in debt means you're just bad at math, that you lack basic discipline, or worse, that you're just inherently lazy. But I need you to hear this loud and clear. Everything you have been taught about your debt is a lie. You are not trapped because you forgot how to budget. You are trapped because your brain is currently under a sophisticated attack. You are fighting a multi-billion-dollar financial system meticulously designed to exploit millions of years of human evolution. Right now, there is a hidden defense mechanism in your subconscious actively forcing you to look away, even as you drown. It is called the Ostrich Effect. And today, we're going to decode exactly how this psychological matrix hijacked your mind, and more importantly, how you can finally take it back. To understand why we fall into this trap, we have to look inside the human brain, specifically an fMRI scanner. When neuroscientists monitor the brains of people buying items with physical cash, a very specific region lights up, the insula. This is the exact same part of the brain that registers physical pain. When you hand over a crisp $20 bill, your brain literally processes it as an injury. It hurts to lose resources. This natural pain of paying is humanity's evolutionary braking system. But then, the financial industry performed a masterstroke of psychological manipulation. They invented the credit card. And then came Apple Pay, one-click purchasing, and the absolute trap of buy now, pay later. They engineered a brilliant but dangerous concept called frictionless spending. By removing the physical act of handing over cash, they effectively bypass the insula. When you swipe a piece of plastic or double-click your phone screen, your brain registers absolutely zero physical pain. Instead, the anticipation of the new purchase floods your brain with dopamine, the ultimate reward hormone. You're getting the neurological high of acquiring a new item, completely disconnected from the biological pain of losing your hard-earned resources. You are not just swiping a card, you're pulling the lever on a slot machine. The system is meticulously rigged to give you an immediate dopamine spike while delaying the pain for 30 days. By the time the bill arrives, the dopamine is long gone, leaving you with nothing but a neurochemical hangover and a compounding interest rate. You are gambling against your own biology, and the house always wins. Have you ever stopped to wonder if your current spending habits were actually programmed into your brain before you even turned 7 years old? We just talked about the dopamine rush of modern spending, but what exactly is that dopamine trying to fix? The truth is, money is never just about math or plastic cards. It is deeply, profoundly emotional. Psychologists call this your financial blueprint. And for many of us, that blueprint was drawn in a house filled with invisible anxiety. Think back to your childhood. Maybe you remember hearing your parents arguing in hushed tones about unpaid bills behind closed bedroom doors. Perhaps you felt the quiet, heavy tension at the grocery store checkout line when your mother had to put items back on the shelf. Or maybe you remember the stinging shame of wearing hand-me-down clothes while the other kids had brand new sneakers. Those moments do not just disappear when you grow up. They leave a lasting psychological scar, a deep-seated fear of scarcity that haunts you into adulthood. This is the ghost in your wallet. When you are an adult and you mindlessly swipe your credit card for a lifestyle you cannot afford, you are not just purchasing a luxury item. You are desperately trying to soothe a scared inner child. You are buying the illusion of safety, the feeling of abundance, and the social acceptance that you felt deprived of years ago. You are using debt as a time machine to fix a past you cannot change. But the tragic irony is that by overcompensating for the financial trauma of your childhood, you are actively destroying the financial security of your future today. We just talked about the emotional scars of the past, but what happens when you combine that with the crushing reality of the present? Imagine you're walking through a dense jungle and suddenly a massive tiger jumps onto the path right in front of you. Your heart races, your pupils dilate, and your focus narrows completely onto the immediate threat. You do not notice the beautiful birds in the trees or the rare orchids on the ground. You only see the tiger. Your brain has entered a state of absolute tunneling. This is exactly what happens to your brain when you do not have enough money. It is a psychological phenomenon called the scarcity mindset. Harvard researcher Sendhil Mullainathan and Princeton psychologist Eldar Shafir conducted groundbreaking studies on how financial scarcity physically alters human cognition. They discovered that the constant, agonizing worry of financial stress acts like a heavy background program, draining your computer's battery. It consumes massive amounts of what they call cognitive bandwidth. Their studies revealed something absolutely terrifying. Simply worrying about a major financial problem temporarily drops a person's effective IQ by 13 to 14 points. That is the cognitive equivalent of losing an entire night of sleep, or trying to function while legally intoxicated. When you're stressed about debt, your brain enters survival mode. You become hyper-focused on surviving today, making this week's rent, or paying off this month's minimum credit card balance. Because your brain is entirely consumed by the immediate threat, it literally loses the biological capacity to plan for the future. This explains one of the most misunderstood paradoxes of personal finance. Why do people in debt take out payday loans with 400% interest rates? From the outside looking in, it looks like a terrible, illogical financial decision. But from the inside of a tunneling brain, it is a perfectly logical survival mechanism. You are sacrificing your long-term stability just to put out the immediate fire right in front of you. The system blames you for poor planning, but the truth is the stress of the system itself has hijacked your prefrontal cortex, the logical, planning center of your brain. You are fighting a war with a compromised command center. Now let us layer all of that biological stress on top of the most toxic environment ever created for human self-esteem, the modern internet. We live in a hyper-consumerist culture that explicitly measures your personal value by the logo on your steering wheel and the aesthetic of the vacations you post on your Instagram feed. We are no longer just trying to keep up with the Joneses next door. We are trying to keep up with the influencers and a meticulously curated, algorithmically enhanced version of reality. But here is the deeply uncomfortable truth about those perfectly filtered squares. A staggering number of people are actively funding a completely fake digital existence using very real, crippling debt. You are scrolling through a highlight reel of other people's impulse purchases, funded by credit cards that are maxed out behind the scenes. Why do we fall for this trap? Because your brain is a deeply social organ. For our tribal ancestors, social rejection literally meant exile and death. Therefore, your brain is biologically hardwired to prioritize immediate social approval and status over abstract concepts like long-term financial safety or retirement planning. When you see your peers driving brand new cars or dining at incredibly expensive restaurants, your subconscious brain actually perceives a dangerous drop in your own social status. It panics. The sudden urge to swipe your card to buy that designer bag or book that luxury flight is not simple vanity. It is a desperate, evolutionary bid for belonging. You are bankrupting your actual reality just to maintain an illusion, sacrificing your future peace of mind for fleeting digital validation from strangers who are likely drowning in the exact same ocean of debt. Let us step away from the neuroscience and the digital screens for a second and talk about the heaviest, most silent emotion of them all. In psychology, there is a profound, devastating difference between feeling guilty and feeling ashamed. Guilt tells you, I made a bad financial decision. It is simply an acknowledgement of an action. But shame. Shame whispers something far darker into your ear in the middle of the night. Shame tells you, I am a bad person. I am a failure. It attacks your very core identity. And in a culture that relentlessly equates your financial net worth with your fundamental human self-worth, falling into severe debt stops being just a mathematical problem. It transforms into a deeply personal, crushing humiliation. When your credit card is declined at a crowded grocery store line, or when you have to secretly ask a family member for a loan just to keep the electricity on, you do not just feel broke, you feel completely broken. This overwhelming shame acts like a toxic radiation, slowly isolating you from everyone you love. But here is the most tragic paradox of human behavior. How do we cope when the psychological pain of this shame becomes absolutely unbearable? We do something that looks completely insane to the outside world. We engage in what behavioral economists call revenge spending. When you feel utterly helpless, permanently restricted, and suffocated by your financial reality, the psychological pressure builds until you eventually snap. You will go out and buy an expensive dinner you know you cannot afford, or purchase a brand new item on a maxed out credit card. Why? Because for a brief, fleeting moment, swiping that piece of plastic gives you back a fragile illusion of control. It makes you feel like you're still participating in a normal life. You are literally using the exact same poison that is destroying your future as a temporary painkiller for your present reality. And the moment that artificial high fades away, the shame returns, only this time it is heavier, darker, and pulling you even deeper into the bottomless spiral. So, what happens when that crushing shame becomes a permanent resident in your mind? You stop fighting it, and instead, you start hiding from it. Let me ask you a very honest, uncomfortable question. How many unopened envelopes from credit card companies are sitting in a pile on your kitchen counter right now? Have you ever actively deleted a mobile banking app from your smartphone just so you would not accidentally see your checking account balance? Or maybe you have deliberately turned off all your email and push notifications just so your phone stops vibrating with terrifying late fee warnings. In behavioral economics, there's a very specific name for this exact phenomenon. It is known as the Ostrich Effect. Just like the old myth of an ostrich burying its head deep into the sand the moment it senses a lethal predator approaching, your brain is actively trying to protect you from severe psychological pain. It deploys a bizarre, irrational defense mechanism of willful blindness. The subconscious logic is deceptively simple and dangerously comforting. If I absolutely refuse to look at the exact number, the number does not actually exist. If I do not open the envelope, the reality of my financial disaster is not entirely real yet. But ignoring the monster living in your closet does not make it disappear. It actually feeds it in the dark. While you're busy looking the other way, the late fees quietly pile up. The compound interest silently accelerates. The worse the mathematical problem gets, the greater the psychological shame becomes, which causes you to bury your head even deeper into the sand. You are trapped in a self-fulfilling prophecy of avoidance, letting a solvable equation mutate into a terrifying monster. We hide from our bank statements, but eventually, the shame forces us to start hiding from the people we love the most. Let us talk about a massive, deeply guarded secret destroying countless American households today. Psychologists call it financial infidelity. This is not about a romantic affair. It is about a secret credit card opened in your name that your spouse knows absolutely nothing about. It is about aggressively ripping the price tags off a shopping bag in your car before you walk through the front door, or casually lying about how much you actually spent on a new item. It is the hidden personal loan you desperately took out just to cover the tracks of another maxed out credit card. Why do we do this to the people we promise to share our entire lives with? Because the unbearable shame we just talked about inevitably breeds deception. When you are completely terrified of being judged as a profound failure by your own partner, lying simply feels like the only safe psychological survival mechanism left. But here is the devastating, unspoken cost of that deception. The constant lies breed a profound, suffocating isolation. The greatest tragedy of falling into severe consumer debt is not the compounding annual interest rate, the harassing phone calls from aggressive debt collectors, or the permanently damaged credit score. The absolute worst part of the debt trap is the agonizing, silent loneliness. You are forced to fight a terrifying, exhausting financial war entirely by yourself, sitting in the exact same room, on the exact same couch, right next to the person who is supposed to be your teammate. So how do we actually escape this psychological matrix? If debt is fundamentally a behavioral and emotional trap, the escape route must also be behavioral. For decades, traditional financial advisors have relentlessly preached the debt avalanche method. Mathematically, it makes perfect sense. You list your debts and aggressively pay off the one with the highest interest rate first, saving you the most money over time. But remember, we are not dealing with a math equation. We are dealing with human psychology. And mathematically, perfect plans constantly fail because they completely ignore human emotion. Enter the debt snowball method. The snowball method tells you to completely ignore the interest rates. Instead, you list every single debt from the smallest balance to the largest. You pay the minimums on everything else, and you throw every extra dollar you have at the smallest debt until it is completely gone. Accountants absolutely hate this approach, but behavioral psychologists love it. Why? Because paying off a massive student loan over 3 miserable years offers absolutely zero immediate dopamine. You get bored, you get tired, and you eventually give up. But paying off a tiny $200 medical bill in just 2 weeks? That gives you a massive psychological hit. It is a quick win. The debt snowball method intentionally hacks your brain's reward system. By achieving rapid, visible victories, you trigger the release of dopamine. But this time, the dopamine is not coming from mindless spending. It is coming from actively destroying your debt. Finally, we must reintroduce friction. Delete your credit cards from your autofill settings, disconnect Apple Pay, and implement a strict 24-hour waiting rule before any non-essential purchase to give your logical brain time to breathe. Escaping this psychological trap is not about suddenly becoming a brilliant math genius overnight. It is about finally waking up to the relentless psychological warfare being waged against your attention and your wallet every single day. The very first and absolutely most crucial step out of this terrifying tunnel is radical, unconditional self-forgiveness. You need to deeply understand that you fell into a perfectly engineered hole that was meticulously dug by billionaires, algorithms, and behavioral scientists. The crushing shame ends today. Debt is simply a temporary mathematical state. It is absolutely not a reflection of your fundamental value as a human being. Once you genuinely forgive yourself, you can finally take your head out of the sand. Opening that very first terrifying credit card envelope or logging into your banking app is exactly like turning on a light switch in a pitch-black room. Yes, the terrifying monster is still sitting right there in the corner, but at least now you can clearly see its exact shape and size. It instantly loses its mysterious power over your imagination. You can finally start your snowball and actively take your beautiful brain back from the system. I want to hear from you right now. I want you to bravely look at your personal finances today and tell me, what is the very smallest individual debt you currently owe? Tell me that exact number down in the comments below, and let us make a powerful public commitment to crush that specific debt together this month. And if this video helped you feel seen and understood, please hit that subscribe button. We talk about the quiet, heavy parts of the human experience here. Remember, you are stronger than your programming. Thank you for watching.